Justin, welcome to the Family Business Show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Great to have you. And thank you for taking the time to sort of share your story about your family business and really just help and inspire our audience who are all running their family businesses through these really strange, unprecedented times. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, no, it's like you say, very, very strange times. So yeah, it's a bit surreal at the moment, I guess.
It is. Well, why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Okay, so my name's Justin Powlesland. I'm the director of JHP Recruitment. We're a veterinary specialist recruitment company. So we deal with clinics and hospitals all around the UK, from Redruth up to Inverness, and recently started doing business in the US, where we've got around about 2,500 clients at the moment, pretty much spread from East Coast to West Coast.
Fantastic. And you're in gorgeous, beautiful Devon, aren't you? So
Yes,
why don't you tell us a bit about, the size of your team, your turnover, what the business looks like?
Okay. Yeah, so we're based in Exeter, right next to Exeter Airport. We've got 16 members of staff, internal staff, working with us. And last year we turned over £4.1 million.
Amazing. And how long have you been going?
We started trading March 2016. Wow.
So in 3 years, you've got it to over a £4 million turnover business.
Yeah.
That is extraordinary.
Yeah,
so what makes you a family business? What's your setup?
So myself and my wife started the business. So my wife works in accounts, so she's doing all the purchase, sort of, well, all that side of it, all the invoicing, all the credit control, everything. So she does all of that. And then this was supposed to be, when I started the business, a bit of a lifestyle business. I set it up from my garage at home, and I was going to work sort of 10 till 3, be able to do the school run, and and it just absolutely took off. So I needed, within, I think it was about 5-6 weeks of trading, I needed some help. So I'd been talking to my nephew for quite some time about recruitment and told him he'd be really good at it. So I managed to persuade him to come and work in the garage with me. Then my cousin came on board. And it kind of just grew from there, really. And then I spent about 5 months converting my garage into an office. And I think we spent about 5 months working in there before we had to kind of move out into a proper office. So yeah, not the best time spent, really, but it was good. It got us going, and it kind of kept the costs down at the beginning.
There is a whole long list of brilliant businesses that started in garages, from the Googles and the Facebooks of the world. So, you started in a great place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way, to be honest. I keep looking back at the pictures, and we took pictures all the way along, because the garage, I call it a garage. It was more like a workshop, really. Yeah. So it wasn't very nice. So we literally had to insulate the floor, the walls, the ceiling, everything. And myself and my brother-in-law converted it. He's a carpenter, so we did all the work between the two of us. And I keep looking back at the pictures going, well, in such a short space of time, we've come so far, really.
Brilliant. So actually, that's quite a good point, because there'll be lots of businesses right now, as we sort of emerge out of lockdown, who will be thinking about having to almost restart up. Maybe businesses that have been going for 20, 50, 100 years. Yeah. There's now this sort of restart up mentality about having to start from scratch. So can you rewind back to 2016 when you were in your garage, and what did you do you think, that made it so successful, and why did it take off so quickly?
I genuinely believe it was because everybody we brought into the business, and my ethos is that if you look after your clients and you treat them well, then hopefully they're going to keep coming back and giving you repeat business. So we made a very conscious effort right at the beginning that everybody we brought into our business had no recruitment experience. And I'm not saying that, recruiters in other industries are bad or anything like that, but what we thought is the people that we bring in, if they've got no experience at all, and we're going to teach them to do it the way that we want them to do it, then they've got no other habits, and they're going to kind of learn to do it the way that we want them to do it. So yeah, that was kind of our ethos in it. And we don't look, when we're interviewing, we do not look for salespeople. We're looking for customer service people that are really look after our clients and look after our candidates and do what's best for them. And that's the people that we want in our business. You know, we don't want sort of pushy or, you know, sort of salespeople that are going to kind of maybe force an issue somewhere, because all it's going to do is it's going to come back eventually to, you know, and people won't deal with us, or, you know, if that position doesn't go in, you know, client's going to feel a little bit annoyed that, you know, they've paid us a fee and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it really was just making sure, you know, we literally had a tiny amount of clients, you know, when we first started, and then we just looked after them, and kind of the veterinary world isn't very big, and word of mouth, it just kind of, you know, people were just saying, you know, kind of referring us, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, I think it's just do what you're good at, just, you know, look after your clients, and I'm sure things will pick up. I'm sure they will.
Brilliant. And so how about in those early days, your sort of marketing, your PR, your sales strategy? Because there will, again, be a lot of people now who've had to rethink their marketing completely over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And are now thinking about it for the future. So if we take you as a startup sort of 4 years ago, what was your approach to marketing?
Do you know what? We had hardly any money. Literally, I think we set the business up, I think it was about £9,000-10,000. And that included the money to convert the garage. So, you know, we had no money whatsoever. But what we did is, when we do, you know, social media marketing, you know, all right, you've got the paid advertising, but you can use your social media pages and get your content out there for free. So what we did is, we, as a recruitment company, if you look around at most recruitment companies, their social media pages are just full of jobs, you know, jobs. If you look at ours, we don't post any jobs at all. What we do is we're posting content that we feel that the audience might be interested in. So it might be news about the veterinary industry, it might be news about JHP recruitment, and we always try and give our team a personality. And we post like little comedy videos. We did like a meet the team thing, and you know, other bits and pieces. And we had like a quick fire questions where we were kind of sneaking up on people, filming them, and just asking them random questions and getting things like that out. And the amount of engagement that got, compared to you know, us really trying to push the brand onto people, the engagement with, you know, with the personality went through the roof. So that's the way that we started, and that's the way we've actually continued. So yeah, it's just, I think, really about creating a personality for your brand, and letting people see who's behind that brand. And, you know, it's the old saying that, you know, people buy from who they like. So if you come across well, and you're yourself, rather than, when I do business, I don't change. So, you know, if you met me for a drink in a pub somewhere, or if you met me in a business meeting, you kind of get the same person. And I'm very much that, you know, just relax and be yourself. I think that's really important.
So what I'm hearing then is everything is about people and their personalities for you guys. And actually that seems to do the marketing and the word of mouth for you, really.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And whenever we go to client visits, or we go out to meetings and things, we're not your typical recruiters. You know, we don't wear, you know, the suits and everything else. We've got branded polo shirts, and we just feel that when we're going into meetings, you know, with that, you kind of, you don't seem as salesy maybe, and people can relax when they're talking to you. So even myself, when I'm going in to meet our big clients, I'll always go in polo shirts, you know, and chinos normally. So I'm just, you know, to kind of relax the mood a little bit.
I think a lot of people think about it's what they look like, but it's actually how comfortable you make your client or your potential client feel.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and if I walk in there, you know, in a suit, you know, in a nice shiny brand new suit and my briefcase and everything, that straight away you get the feeling that, oh, this is a salesperson, and they kind of back off a little bit. Whereas when I walk in a polo shirt and chinos, and we sit down and we have a coffee, and I always make a point of, you know, the first 15, 20 minutes just talking about life. You know, don't get straight into business, you know, and put people on the back foot, and just kind of relax. Yeah, if you can get that person that you're talking to relax, then you're going to get much more out of it. So,
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, let's rewind back to earlier this year, March.
yeah,
Obviously, everyone has been hit incredibly hard by the
yeah.
COVID-19 pandemic. So tell me what happened to you guys.
Literally overnight, we lost about 75% of our income. We deal with locum and permanent recruitment, but the locum is kind of the majority of our work. So yeah, at one point we went from 150 locums working for us on a weekly basis. We went down to 15. That's gradually creeping back up again, which is good. But because there was a lockdown, the veterinary clinics just couldn't open because they were only allowed to deal with emergency cases. So therefore, you know, they were calling us up saying, we just don't need the locums, which you can understand. All the permanent placements that we had all lined up, because what happens, you know, in the veterinary industry, most people have to give 3 months notice. So, you know, this is work we've done months before, but we don't get paid for it until they actually start. Well, everybody that was due to start, you know, end of March, April, May, June, that all kind of got, you know, we weren't sure whether it was going in or not. It has now, all of them have now started, but it was mostly at the beginning of July. So yeah, we took a huge hit. And I've got to say that the furlough scheme, you know, really saved us from making some horrible decisions. It's been absolutely fantastic. So we're hoping that we can get through this without making any redundancies whatsoever. So as of the beginning of July, we've brought back pretty much most of the team. I say most, 7 or 8 of them are back on a part-time basis. And we're just going to kind of try and gradually ease them all back. And then hopefully by November, when the furlough scheme ends, hopefully we can get everybody back, which will be great. I'll be really pleased if we can get the whole team back without having to make any redundancies.
Fantastic. Okay, so for you though, as someone who's not too far out the gate of just starting their business and all the, you know, trials and tribulations that brings, how did you cope with losing 75% of your income overnight?
I struggled. I don't mind saying this. The first 3 or 4 weeks, I didn't sleep, just literally couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed worrying what's going to happen. You know, you worry obviously about your own family, but then because we're such a small business, you know, the families of the other 15 people that are here, you know, what's going to happen to them? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? So what I had to do was I'm not the type of person that can sit around. So there wasn't really anything I could do within the first 3 or 4 weeks. In terms of work-wise, it just literally anybody you wanted to speak to, you couldn't get hold of because they'd all been furloughed themselves. So I was kind of lucky that we'd moved into a new house about 5 weeks before lockdown. And I said to my wife, right, I'm going to throw myself into this. When we bought it, we said we've got a 2-year project to try and get this house, you know, how we want it. And there was a lot of work that needed doing. I watched so many how-to videos on YouTube, and I said, right, every day I'm going to get up and I'm going to work from 8 till 5 in the house. Like, you know, I'm a tradesman now, that, you know, and I just went for it. And yeah, I spent maybe 5-6 weeks really doing everything I possibly could. And this 2-year project was nearly completed because I was planning on only maybe doing, you know, sort of the 1 or 2 days a month, you know, maybe a Sunday here, Sunday there, but then I was just going at it full time. So I threw myself into that just to kind of take my mind off of things. And then as I ran out of jobs, or the jobs that I was able to do, we had a few plumbing issues, but we had to get an emergency plumber in, so I'm not good at plumbing. After that, things started picking up with work. So I then I've said, right, I'm not going to work from home. I'm really not a home worker. I'm the type of person that when I walk through the office door, I'm in work mode. And if I'm at home, I'm in home mode. So I started working 4 days a week, and coming in, I was busy enough to keep me going. And I've done that ever since. And now it's, like I say, it's great as of July to get some of the other guys back in that wanted to come back. It's, we're kind of, I think we're starting to get through, and hopefully we'll, see the other side soon.
And so how do you feel now? So in terms of your mental well-being, how do you feel now?
Do you know what? I feel quite good now. I've had a lot of time to really make some big decisions with the business. I spent a lot of time doing a kind of a cost saving exercise and looking at where we were spending money, and did we need to be spending money in certain areas, or where should we be spending more money right now, and things like that. So I like a challenge. So I think it's kind of like, we've said to the guys that are in now, it's like starting again. But we're in a much, much better position now than we were in 2016 when we had about £2,000 in the bank. We're in a good position right now. So it's going to take time. It's not going to come back overnight. I know that, everybody knows that, but little steps. So it's just now we've kind of put myself and a couple of the senior guys sat down and kind of did a plan and said, this is where we want to be by March 2021. So it's just trying to get back to back to hopefully some sort of normality and kind of doing some business again.
And has the pandemic situation forced any changes or new ways of thinking that you think should be here to stay for you guys? So did it make you think differently about certain things, or your strategy for this, your strategy for that you now think, thank goodness we thought about that, because we would never have done otherwise?
There'll definitely be some changes, 100%. I think when I started JHP, I always said that everybody that I wanted to deal with local people and small businesses to support smaller businesses. So the guy that looks after our website, I met him at a friend's wedding. Just got chatting to him one day, and he said what he did, and I was about to start up, and I said, I need something like that. And then the person that's been doing our payroll lives in a little village just down the road from me, and so. But we started to kind of really use bigger agencies for marketing and things like that. But what I've done is, when we did this cost saving exercise, I've been speaking to a few people, and actually a guy that I go to the gym with, I got chatting to, and he's struggling for work, but he does marketing and he's leaving, or has to leave his current job, and wants to set up on his own. So we got chatting, and he's going to come in and do some work for us. And, so I think it's trying to get back to where we were, and just kind of supporting smaller local businesses. We had a chat as a team in regards to the home working, because obviously that's the big topic at the moment. For me, I'm not a home worker. I love being in the office. It's just how I prefer to work, how I feel more, I get more productivity out of myself. And I was really surprised that almost everyone on the team said they want to come back to the office, and they prefer being in the office than working from home. For some people it was because if you work from home, they might get a little bit lonely. Others just prefer to have the support around them. So in terms of the office is here to stay for us. But there certainly will be changes.
Brilliant. In terms of leadership, how have you found leading a team when your business is potentially in crisis in the early days? Mm-hmm. You are, having to figure things out for yourself and your wife and the family members you employ. Everyone's working from home. How have you managed that sort of leadership challenge?
I think I always say that wherever I've worked, I've been lucky that I've worked with some really good leaders, and I've worked with some not so good leaders, let's say. And I've taken something from all of them, but there was one in particular who was just always so positive, so upbeat, and you just ended up kind of just following him, and without even thinking about it. And whatever he said with such enthusiasm. It was like, yeah, let's do it. He could have said anything, but so I've just tried to be positive. When the day that it got announced that we were going into lockdown, obviously we called a team meeting straight away, and the guys, you could see all of them on all of their faces were panicking. What's going to happen? And we knew it was coming, so we'd set up for everyone to be able to access everything they needed from home. And I think the thing that kind of perked them up was, I said to all of them, look, we need to use this as a positive thing, because what's going to happen, unfortunately, there will be people that will, be made redundant. There'll be businesses that will struggle to get through this. And it may be some of our competitors. So we kind of made sure that they're all aware that we're in a good place. We are we're certainly not going to let the business go. We're not going to make redundancies here and now. We're going to wait till as long as we can before we have to do anything like that. But if we can get through it, and we can get through it with the whole team, then we think that it's going to give us an opportunity to pick up a bigger share of the market space, and hopefully make us stronger than before. I think what we have realized is we probably do need to diversify the business slightly. We've started in the States, which is great. Actually, what we found is that the work in the States picked up. Yeah. Believe it or not, they just seemed to plow on, full steam ahead. They didn't care what was going on. So we picked up a lot of work in the States, which was great. So we've had a few guys working on that, and we kind of said, well, we'd like to eventually start working with non-clinical companies within the UK, whether it be pharmaceutical companies or nutrition companies, things like that, that still using the veterinary professionals, but in a completely different manner. Because if we can do that, we've got the candidates already, so we're halfway there, and it's just kind of, if we can start working with some of those clients, then it's going to kind of put another string to our bow, just in case anything like this happens again. We can kind of go, right, rather than having all our eggs in one basket. Yeah. Hopefully, we can.
Can I just rewind to, so you've not long been working in the States, have you? I mean, when did that really get going?
No, yeah. So we actually launched it December last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, because there'll be some people out there who are thinking, I'd quite, I can see my product or my service doing really well in the States or in China or Australia or anywhere overseas. Yeah. Where on earth did you start?
So the first thing I did were lots and lots of research, to make sure that it was the right area for us. And as it happened, that the US veterinary market very much mirrors the UK market, in that there is a lack of qualified vets and nurses over there. Well, if you've got a lack of vets and nurses, then someone like us coming along, can be a great help. So that was the first thing we did. So lots of research. Then I spoke with quite a few meetings with the Department of International Trade, and they helped massively. Really, they were great. Putting us on webinars, coming in for meetings into the office, just to make sure that we had everything as we should have. And then I ended up flying out to New York, to the New York Vet Show in November. And what I didn't take into account was my accent. And everybody I spoke to over there, so it's like a huge trade show, I guess, for the veterinary world. And everyone I spoke to just wanted to speak to me, and I couldn't work out why. And it wasn't until like later in the second day, I think it was, one of the clients I was talking to said, everybody just must love listening to you. And I said, how do you mean? And she said, your accent. And it was really strange, but to the point I actually picked up a client. So halfway through the second day, I'd gone for a coffee, I was there on my own, and I was at the front of the queue, and I'd ordered a coffee, and the woman behind me tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Oh, I've just heard your accent. You've come a long way for this." And so I explained who I was. And she said, "Oh, do you want to sit down?" So we ended up sitting down for coffee, and it turned out she owned 4 clinics in America. And she needed help. And so we signed her up. But then that was just off the back of ordering a coffee. So, but the plan was to try and get out to some shows this year, because they do them pretty much, East Coast, West Coast, pretty much everywhere. And just meet as many people as we could. But obviously that kind of all got put to one side for the time being. But
so sometimes it doesn't have to be more complicated, because it can seem like a really huge thing, can't it, to go international or to export, but actually what you're saying is get in touch with the Department of International Trade. Go out there, go and be in the mix where you're potentially going to be working. Just start talking to people. It's sometimes no more complicated than that, to begin with.
And what I didn't realize, but as a company, we provide what I call a recruitment service. So we are checking that the people have got the correct licenses or certificates to work. We're making sure that they're eligible to work in that particular country. We're doing all the reference checks and everything else with it. But what happens in America is a lot of the recruitment companies are what I call CV sending services. So they just send a CV, they leave it with the client, and then they'll ring them 4 or 5 weeks later and say, "Oh, I sent you a CV. Was it any good?" Whereas we'll send it with lots of supporting documentation. Then we'll say, we'll ring them the next day and say, "Look, do you have a chance to have a look through it? Do you want us to set up an interview?" We will then set up the interview for them, and we'll, we do the whole 360 thing, and get involved in it. And I was really surprised that in the States, they don't do that. So when we kind of explained to the clients what we do over there, I think they were quite shocked. And so I think, just providing that extra piece of service at the same cost, was huge as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah, well.
So in a world of sort of mediocre offerings, if you can just be the next level up and have a fabulous British accent, you could stand down.
Well, I'm from Devon, so I wouldn't say fabulous, but it's British.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that'd be really useful to people. I mean, when we all be thinking about diversifying our business, have we got too many eggs in one basket? So that's really useful. Thank you. Okay, so what I try to ask all of our guests, is there any particular books, podcasts, interviews, any particular reading material that you think would be really useful for anyone out there leading a family business over the next few months?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of webinars and things, I've like most people, I guess, they've had time on their hands. As there's been webinar galore, and I've been on lots and lots. I've had so much time on my hands. I thought, if you take one thing from each one, it's great. And I'm not saying this because you organized it, but the best one I saw was your what did you call it? The relaunch or
reboot? Yeah,
reboot. Sorry. And James Reed was on there. Okay, yeah. And obviously James Reed being in recruitment, I was really interested to see what he said. And it was brilliant. And it just everything he said. And I'm not saying that we're anywhere near the Reed of this world, but just what he said and how they run their business is exactly what we're trying to do. And I thought, well, we must be doing something right then, because Reed are, the biggest, the best in the UK. So that was really, really interesting. And that was was great. In terms of reading, I don't tend to read like leadership books and things like that. But what I like to read is true stories about people that have really come through tough times. Yeah. And there's a book by Lance Armstrong, who is the cyclist who won the Tour de France. I know since this book's been written, it's come out that he was on doing the doping and stuff. But the actual story, if you take that away, it's called It's Not About the Bike. And he was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and he was given something like a 10% chance of living. Yeah. But he got through it. And not only did he get through it, but he ended up winning the Tour de France after it. So absolutely unbelievable story. Yeah. The other one that I've read during lockdown, which I've read probably 4 or 5 times, is called Marching Powder. And it's about a guy who went to prison in La Paz. And when you go to prison over there, you literally have to buy a cell. And if you want to eat, you have to buy your own food and things like that. And he had no money, nothing. And it was about his story. And yeah, again, really unbelievable. And the reason that I read that is my brother-in-law actually went to South America traveling, and he bumped into Rusty Young, who wrote the book, who actually gave him a copy. And it was, I can't remember if it was Christmas or my birthday coming up, but he got him to sign it. And when he came home, he gave me this book. And yeah, I've read it sort of 4 or 5 times. It's such a good story. So yeah, that's kind of the 2 I would recommend.
I thought you were going to say your brother-in-law went to South America and ended up in prison with
No, luckily he didn't. Yeah, luckily. Yeah, no, he was, luckily he came home. So
Brilliant, thank you. So we'll put those on the notes so people can go away and have a look at those. Okay, so moving forward, you're pretty positive and upbeat about what the future holds, and you've made a few changes and your team are all on board. Are there a couple of things, 2 or 3 things that you've learned or that you think people can do today or in the next couple of weeks to make sure that their business is stronger moving forward?
Yeah, I think firstly, I've realized that self-care helps to really grow your business. And by that, I mean, I used to go to the gym every morning before coming to work, and during lockdown, obviously we couldn't do it, and I just stopped exercising completely. I did nothing. The only walking I did was to the fridge, to get some food, and I ended up putting on quite a lot of weight. I put on about 1.5 stone, and I realised I was feeling really sluggish, and I was really lucky that my local gym, at the beginning of July, what they did is they couldn't open up the gym, but you could open up an outdoor gym. So they put up a huge marquee in their car park and moved all the equipment outside, took the sides off the marquee and said, we're now an outdoor gym. And I realized actually how much better and how much more productive I am when I've been to the gym. So yeah, I think really, rather than me coming into work for 6 o'clock and working right through, if I go to the gym at 6 o'clock and then get to work for about 8 o'clock, I will actually get more done because I've been up, I'm active, and I feel much better. So I think that's definitely one tip I would say. I think with the smaller businesses like us, we very much treat all of our employees as extended family, and I think that little bit of care and that little bit of actually I've made a conscious effort of ringing all of the staff individually every sort of week or so, just to see how they are, see what they're doing, not just to update them on how we're getting on in here. I think that's gone a long way. We sent out, we were doing that all through lockdown, and then we sent out a survey to all of our staff when we knew Flexi Fellow was coming in, to say, look, who's keen to get back to work, and if so, do you want to work from home? Do you want to work from the office? How many hours are you looking at? What do you want to do? And we said to them, look, there's no right or wrong answer. You guys, you got to do what you feel is right. And I was overwhelmed that the majority of them said, I want to come back to work. I want to come to the office, So, we're obviously, the office is now we were lucky that we had plenty of room. So we've spaced all the desks out. We've bought all the screens to go up. They've each got a PPE kit on their desk and everything else. But it's great, to have them back. And I think for them to have that passion that they want to come back and they want to, we're in Devon, the sun's shining. It's very easy, to say, look, I'm going to stay off, and go to the beach or go wherever it is. So yeah, I was, I think just by me keeping in contact with them and letting them know, look, I haven't forgotten about you. It's, I want to know how you are. I think that went a long way. Obviously in the bigger companies, it's probably harder to do. But yeah, we've made sure kind of that happened. And the third, you asked for 3 things, didn't you?
Go on, you got 3 up your sleeve. That'd be great.
I think the third thing is probably, just make sure you're looking after your clients. It's a very simple one. I've spoken to lots and lots of our clients during lockdown, knowing that I know there's no, they can't give us any business right now, but it's more so just to catch up, just to chat. How are you? How are things? Telling them some funny stories about me and my plumbing, and getting the emergency plumber out and finding out what they've been up to. And, it's great. The more you learn about someone as a person, the better that relationship becomes. And, hopefully it will, help to grow your business.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay. Finally, one last shameless plug for JHP Recruitment. How can we, the family business community, help you and your business to survive the next couple of months?
Things like this are brilliant. So I think it's important that that we all kind of look out for each other. And if there's things being posted on social media, just a little like or a little share, something like that, just to keep that kind of grow that audience, is brilliant. What we've tried to do is we've actually been in contact with a company that sells PPE equipment, and because we work in the veterinary industry, that's that a lot of them need it. So we're making sure that we are liking and sharing everything that that they post, because our community is good for them, and they're doing the same. And little things like that. It goes a long way, I guess. That we all kind of look out for each other, and we're all kind of trying to kind of promote each other's brands, I guess, and make
and
sure
course, that if you're in the veterinary industry, get in touch with you, have a Zoom coffee chat.
yeah, definitely.
You may well have great connections to help each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time today. Absolutely fascinating, really inspiring. Congratulations on building the business.
Thank you.
To this far, getting through a COVID pandemic. And it sounds like, you're going to go great guns for the future.
Yeah, I think we're very positive. So, we're looking forward to, I guess, really, towards the end of the year, we're going to know more what's going to happen. But we're feeling positive, and hopefully next year we can get back to where we were.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the Family Business Show.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Amalia.